Hello and welcome to my channel Hellbud. In these videos I'll be sharing the origins and stories of the much loved characters in Transformers. This video will be focusing on the ups and downs of Fortress Maximus. Fortress Maximus is one of the most popular and enduring figures in the Transformers universe, ever since his original release as part of the Generation 1 toy line in 1987. Since then he has been presented in all types of media, occurring in multiple Transformers universes, but his most influential and enduring appearances has been in the Generation 1 Marvel comic book continuity, which has run since the 1980s. Fortress Maximus was an Autobot commander on Cybertron. During the Cybertronian Civil War, he transformed into a small space station. He was later binary bonded to Galen and later to Spike Witwicky as a headmaster. He is one of the only Transformers to have beaten Galvatron in combat. The story begins on Cybertron, as Fortress Maximus was a strong and courageous Autobot, but war-weary soldier. He could not see an end to the conflict on Cybertron, so he decided to lead his troops to a distant planet in the hope of finding peace. Fortress Maximus and his troops left Cybertron in a gigantic spaceship, the Haven Steel, which was pretty big, and they traversed the galaxy until they reached Nebulous. Nebulous was a bit like Earth, with its inhabitants looking strangely like humans, but their fashion sense was worse even by the 1980s standards. Due to a misunderstanding, the Nebulans immediately distrusted Autobots. Well, wouldn't you if you stumbled across a giant talking robot? So to prove their good intentions, Fortress Maximus led a small squad of his best soldiers to meet the Nebulan leader Galen. To prove their peaceful intentions, they lay down their weapons, and in the ultimate sacrifice, 5 of the Autobots, including Fortress Maximus, removed their heads. Unbeknown to Fortress Maximus, the Decepticon commander Scorponok and his troops had followed the Autobots from Cybertron to Nebulous, and immediately started attacking the Nebulans. Desperate to save his planet from the Decepticons, Galen and 4 volunteer Nebulans were bioengineered to combine with special armour and transform into likenesses of the Autobots' heads, connecting with and controlling them through the headmaster's process. Galen himself became Fortress Maximus' new partner. Fortress Maximus led his newly enhanced troops against Scorponok and soundly defeated his numerically superior squad. Over the coming months, the Nebulans would be bioengineered to create a new army of both Autobot and Decepticon headmasters, and also the target masters. Fortress Maximus realised he had brought the Cybertronian war to Nebulous, so boarded the Steel Haven with his Autobot troops and headed for Earth, knowing that Scorponok and his troops would follow. Upon arrival, the war between Fortress Maximus and Scorponok started anew. During their first battle, Galen was killed, and with his last breath he handed his control helmet to Spike Witwicky, who reluctantly took up the role of Fortress Maximus' head. Fortress Maximus was a pivotal character of the Transformers War on Earth. He set in motion the events that would lead to the rebirth of Power Master Optimus Prime, and with Optimus Prime restored, Fortress Maximus accepted a subordinate role in the Autobot ranks. But he would still take part in major battles, such as the Time Wars and the Underbase Saga. Fortress Maximus and Spike struggled to bond effectively, and with Spike feeling his work with the Autobots was done, Spike went on his own way and resumed his life. Fortress Maximus' headless body was stored on the spaceship the Ark. When all the Transformers left Earth to defend Cybertron against Unicron, Earth was left defenceless, and when the Ark plummeted to Earth and crashed in the northern tundra of Canada, Galvatron emerged from the wreckage to wreak havoc and take control of our planet, and it fell to Fortress Maximus to stop him. He called to Spike. Their mental wrangling started anew before Fortress Maximus convinced Spike to reunite with him once more. Maximus immediately suppressed his hesitating partner and took full control upon regaining his head. Fortress Maximus alone wasn't quite ready to deal with the total insane Galvatron, who started smashing and biting him to pieces. Realizing the power of their combined strength, Spike and Fortress Maximus managed to reunite in thought and deed, and defeated the crazed Decepticon. Fortress Maximus stood alone at the battle's end, the last Autobot, guardian of Earth. But this was not the last we saw of Fortress Maximus and Spike, as their story continued into Marvel Generation 2, the 1993 comic. But it was ultimately Generation 2 Megatron who would prove to be the undoing of this giant warrior. The reborn and reconditioned Decepticon leader stole the Ark from its crash site in Canada. Megatron found and disabled Fortress Maximus' dormant form, but Spike sneaked aboard the ship and rejoined them with Maximus. But the damage inflicted by Megatron meant they had virtually no chance of winning. Brutally beaten in combat by an upgraded and supercharged Megatron, the pair dragged themselves broken and battered to the heart of the ship and threw themselves into the antimatter contaminant unit at the core of its power supply, killing them both and causing the Ark to explode. This act of bravery and sacrifice kept the Ark out of Megatron's hands, although Megatron did escape the exploding Ark. However, Fortress Maximus' legacy and inspiration went on to do further good when Optimus Prime was consumed by the Swarm, this wayward mass-seeking purpose. His memories of Maximus' nobility and bravery helped convert the entity into a force of creation rather than destruction. Transformers Regeneration, published in 2012, of course ignores the events of Marvel Generation 2, and also tends to ignore the continuity issues related to UK Marvel stories, even though they were written by the same person. I'd say someone's a bit indecisive. So, we pick up again with Fortress Maximus as the guardian of Earth. After the crash of the Ark in Canada, Spike Witwicky left to live a normal life. But in his absence, intruders boarded the crashed ship and reawoken Megatron. Megatron turned all Earth-based Transformers into his own army of lobotomized zombie soldiers. Spike reluctantly bonded with Fortress Maximus and battled Megatron, but was defeated and died, leaving Spike crippled. Spike was recovered by G.B. Blackrock, who built his body, turning him into the super-powered Circuit Smasher. However, even this was not the end of poor old Fort Max. His nemesis Scorponok had been reawakened by an old ghost program left by Lord Zarak, which was set to deactivate Scorponok's original head if anyone tried to decrypt his database. Scorponok took control of the Nebulans' minds and had them build him a new body, using knowledge he had to perfect the previously incompleted binary bonding process. After Scorponok was defeated, Fortress Maximus was the only Autobot headmaster who hadn't been reactivated by Scorponok to serve his army, and the newly freed Nebulons, with the help of the Autobots, began constructing a new body for him. However, unknown to anyone, a portion of dark matrix energy found Maximus's head being kept in status and entered, making Maximus its new host. Unaware of the hitchhiker in Max's head, the Nebulans proceeded to reattach Max's head to his finished body. However, upon reconnection and having fallen completely under the control of the Matrix, Maximus broke out of the laboratory and took a space bridge to Earth, where he gunned down Optimus Prime. Recapturing his old partner Spike, he returned through the space bridge. Maximus arrived on Nebulus in time to watch Ultra Magnus dispatch Galvatron and started to attack him. As he prepared to execute Magnus, he was ambushed by the Wreckers, who were forced to kill Fortress Maximus, releasing him from the Dark Matrix control and giving him the peace he had always longed for. Spike would go on to help unify Nebulus, Earth cooperation to help rebuild the devastated Earth. Fortress Maximus' bio identifies him as the headmaster leader, a role which in the comics he went on to surpass. He also boasts one of the most powerful technical specifications, getting 10s in all categories, apart from a 9 in endurance and skill. Although in his 2016 Titans Returns toy line release, his tech spec boasts all 10s, but when combined with Cerebros and Emissary, reaches the crazy powers levels over all 20s. The first Fortress Maximus toy was released in 1987. He transformed into a space station and a futuristic fortress. He was the largest transformer ever released, measuring almost 2 feet tall. There have been a surprising few toys of Fort Max over the years, given the significance of this character. But in 2016, an updated version of Fortress Maximus was released as part of the Titans Return toy line, which was a fraction taller and so surpassed the old toy as the tallest ever transformer. The original Fortress Maximus figure stands at 22 inches tall, nearly 8 inches taller than its rival Scorponok. The original resale price was nearly $100 in the USA, and because of his size and cost, his retail release was very limited in other countries. The toy has 2 alternative mode configurations, transforming into a relatively compact city mode and a battle station. In all modes, Fortress Maximus has a wide array of non-firing guns and gimmicks, such as a prison cell in his leg, a helipad, a storage compartment, and a radar array. Fortress Maximus's head is formed by Cerebros and Spike, although Spike is optional. The Gasket and Grommet vehicles can combine together to form Cog. Furthermore, Gasket and Grommet can each be ridden by any large headmaster Nebulan figure. The Japanese release of Fortress Maximus came with a pair of master swords. More recently, Fortress Maximus was updated and released as a Titan-class transformer in 2016 as part of the Titans Return toy line, which had several media tie-ins. Titans Return Fortress Maximus is an elaborate retool of Generation's Metroplex. It is currently the largest Transformers toy produced to date, until the upcoming War for Cybertron Unicron is released. In robot mode, his head is formed by the Titan Master Cerebros, whose own head is in turn formed by the smaller Titan Master Emissary. Like the 1980s Fortress Maximus, he can transform into either a battle station or a city, and shares many of the play features. Fortress Maximus doesn't come with his vehicle drones Gasket, Grommet and Cog, though Cog was released in 2018 for the Siege toy line. The third-party toy market has also produced some transforming robots, which closely resemble Fortress Maximus, such as the Toy World Infinitor, which is basically a downscaled and updated Generation 1 Fortress Maximus, and the IDW comic-inspired Perfect Effects Warden. As always, I'd love to hear what you think, so please leave your comments below with which characters you'd like me to do next. Thanks for watching, and remember to hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it, and consider supporting me on Patreon. Until next time, Transformers, roll out!